We have 2 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Can't start until 7 o'clock. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Haslet City Council at 7 p.m. this May 20th, 2024. All members of the council are present. If you would bow your heads with me, then stand with me to say first the invocation, and then stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Now have a seat for the invocation. Thank you. Thank you. Father in heaven, we thank you for your many blessings, and we praise your holy name. We pray for the guidance and imparting the wisdom to our national leaders, our state leaders, our local leaders. We thank you for the many blessings we have received. We thank all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, we get to install a new council person. That's Mr. James Watkins. To take the place of council member place 3. Mr. Watkins, if you would join me at the podium. Sideways, this microphone here is not the, but I have 2 O's here will administer to Mr. Watkins. And then this first one is the statement of appointed office. You would repeat after me. I, James Watkins.
I, James Watkins.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I have not directly or indirectly paid.
That I have not directly nor indirectly paid.
Offered, promised to pay, contribute, or promised to contribute any money.
Offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money.
Or thing of value, or promised any public office.
Or something of value or promise any public office,
or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation thereof, so help me God.
or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation thereof, so help me God.
Very good. And we'll have some signatures to do, just to have. This is the Texas State Oath of Office. I, James Watkins,
I, James Watkins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Council Place 3
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Council Place 3
for the city of Haslet,
for the city of Haslet,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of the state. So help
Congratulations. And I'd like to present this certificate of election. It's in the name and by the authority of the state of Texas. This is certified that at a general election held on May 4, 2024, James Watkins was duly elected City Council Member, Place 3, City of Haslet. Congratulations. Very good. And let's go over here. Very good. I always take pleasure. It's a privilege to get to administer these oaths. It's a serious matter, and very good. Congratulations again. Item 4, citizen participation and comments. Do we have any requests to speak? Any particular item or speak? Okay, Ms. Smith, please. And if you would state your name and address, please.
My name is Sandra Smith, and I live at 300 Gamble Street here in Haslet, up here in Old Town. And I'm going to read a little bit of this. I'm here tonight to make a personal request and an offer regarding the Veterans Memorial Garden in the community park. As we approach Memorial Day, I want to start by saying I have the utmost respect for those who lost their lives in service to our country and their families. My father was a decorated World War II veteran who came home. Currently, there are 3 benches in the Veterans Memorial Garden with plaques. There's one that's empty. The bench is empty with no plaque. And then there are 2 benches with plaques, one of which is for my father. My request is that the one for my father be taken down. And my offer is to replace that one that's taken down and to put another one. I'd like to donate another one if maybe the park board or the council can find the name of a veteran here in Haslet. I spoke to the business that does plaques for the city of Haslet, and those plaques cost around $15. They're made of brass, and I brought a little prop. They're about this big. They fit in the bench, just in the back of the bench, but they're $15 made of brass. So I would like the one for my father taken down, and I'd like to provide a replacement and put one on the empty bench in the Veterans Memorial Garden. So if you could, consider that in a future agenda item, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm sorry I didn't have Matt on. I asked Ms. Smith to please submit that to the mayor's office, and we'll advance it through the appropriate boards. Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? For item 9E, would you like to speak at that item or now? Very good. Do we have anybody online who would like to address the council? All right then, so let's move to item 6, items of community interest. 5A is Memorial Day celebration, Monday, May 27th at 10 a.m. at the Haslet Community Park Veterans Memorial Garden. Again, on Memorial Day, May 27, 2024, all city offices will be closed. Kids Fire Camp. I was the first one to sign up. Haslet Fire Department, Saturday, June 8th, 2024, ages 8 to 15. Advanced registration is required. This is a great event, so if you got any young ones and they like experience and adventure, this is a place to go. 5D, Haslet is hiring. If you would go to haslet.org, employment opportunities, we have, we have more positions open, and they'll all be listed on that website. Item 6.
Mayor Halsey, I'm sorry to interrupt. Before you move on, could we possibly get a brush day update on how it went to the new location?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Tucker, and if no one knows Mr. Tucker is our Public Works Director, and among the many other hats that he wears as our audio video operator. But please give us, and Mr. Tucker staged and arranged that whole new location. Very good. Give us an update.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, yes, we did try that new location for this brush day. We felt that it was a success. It was easier dealing with the stacking of cars as opposed to on 156. Schoolhouse has far less traffic, and we were able, given the space, to have two machines unloading at the same time. So those two things combined just made it work pretty smooth. I mean, it's always a mad rush in the beginning, but it was manageable, and we think that's a much better method as compared to what we've done in the past. Any other questions? Or
Very good. I just want to tell you and the rest of the Public Works Department, you did a great job. Thank you very much.
we appreciate that, and I'll pass it on to them. They really do the hard work.
Item 6, administrative reports. Council, do you have any questions about any of the reports?
Yes, Mayor Halsey, I had two, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time to request an executive session, or we want to wait and pull them towards the end. But I had one item on the economic development report and one item on the financial report that I wanted to discuss.
If it involves, we haven't got an executive session listed specifically to address economic development, but if it is in consultation with the attorney, we may do so. Likewise, financial report, we haven't got an executive session to address specifically the financial report, but if it involves consultation with the attorney, then we may do so.
Okay, I believe one of them does, not the financial, but the economic development.
Okay, we do plan to go into executive session. May we save it until then?
Yes.
Do you want to pull a particular item?
So I would like to pull the 6H Haslet Economic Development Report from the administrator's report, please.
Pulling 6H.
Yes, I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
There's no action that's required on this item. So we'll just, we'll move on, but make a note of that. Item 7 is update on activities, projects, and event recaps. Haslet Parkway construction project. There's not been much movement on that project. There's been discussion with TxDOT and North Central Texas Government. We're going to have a series of meetings starting this Friday with TxDOT, and then following with North Central Texas Council of Government. And no doubt I will be bringing items to the council to for your review and consent. The date is not specific as when those items will be, and some of them may be needed in a timely fashion, so there may be special meetings that have to be called.
Mayor, just real quick, would this be for the second phase of the Haslet Parkway?
It includes the entire project, all phases.
Okay.
Mayor Halsey, can we take then that everything's basically been on hold since and is going to continue being on hold until these meetings take
Not
place?
been on hold. There has been minor work with regard to utilities, and that has been the big cog in the wheel is the relocation of utilities, which was unforeseen by anybody, has put us a year behind schedule. Year and a half, excuse me. And that is a difficulty associated with federal funds. And so that federal funding, that contract is needing to be modified, and it's what is proposed to the Federal Highway Authority, and what the intents are moving forward is what's in conversation. The city council approved a very specific project years ago. That project is changing, and I have notified different parties multiple times. This has to be carried back to the city council for their concern. And so those conversations will start to solidify what that will be. Fire station ball field parking lot striping project. That is finished. It's striped. The what do you call those?
Wheel stops.
Wheel stops. Wheel stops are in place, and I driving up here this evening, I saw a lot of vehicles out there enjoying our new parking lot, or finished parking lot.
And that yielded 110 parking spaces, 4 of which are designated as handicap.
Very good. Progress. I wished everybody here saw what this thing looked like a year and a half ago. It's been a lot of work and a lot of attention, and we'll continue improvement along the way. Ashmore Farms Slurry Seal Project. Would you like to give us an update on that?
Yes, Mayor. So that project has pretty much come to completion. There's only 2 final parts. It's a final sweep of the neighborhood and removal of the project signs. The thermoplastic on the speed humps, I believe that has been finished on all of them. And so that project has come to a close. I think we got a pretty good result. It's what we expected it to be, and it's been walked through by the city engineer as well as staff.
Very good. Very good. That's been a long time coming in itself. Our next one is presentation and status of the congressional appropriations request made for the Haslet Farmers Market Pavilion and Community Teaching Gardens. Months ago, we put request into Congresswoman Kay Granger for $2.3 million funding for this project. And there was quite a bit of effort put into it. But yet I am happy to announce that among all the projects that were submitted to her office, she chose also Haslet's project and has recommended full funding. The process of this is each congressperson has a allotted amount of appropriations that they can take requests in from their congressional district, and our congressional district is District 12. And her staff will first vet these projects, requesting any further information and supportive documentation, and then sit down with the congresswoman, and she actually makes that selection. Then it's forwarded to the Congressional Appropriations Committee in Washington, D.C. Our advantage is Congresswoman Kay Granger is chairman of that committee. Now, this is her last term up in November, and she is serving as chairman emeritus on this particular session. But we're well suited, and I've been given comment that it looks good. I'm fully expecting of this full funding for this project. One of the things they did ask for, actually, it was, Mayor, do you have a model of this place? I said, a model? I said, yeah, come on out. We built a model. They were asking for renderings. And so please excuse them, James, if you don't pull those up, I'll just show you what we forwarded. This is the site plan. That's about 7.5 acres where this would occur. All right, next. And these are just rendering shots from different viewpoints. There's the pavilion. Here, this would be the community teaching gardens. That's 2,800 square feet. Those are raised beds, and actually in behind it would be another acre of gardening area to be developed. We have the full support of Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Agent to execute this program. And that was one of the big aspects of Congresswoman Kay Granger's decision. We got our state rep and also supported of it, our Tarrant County Extension Agent, Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Agent, County Commissioner, neighborhood group. So it's an outstanding project. It is, plus we get this, that building right there will help. This is the only place that we have, period, for any kind of community activity, you know, other than the park. But other folks will get to utilize that pavilion and that building. I'm excited. Anyway, I hope you are too. We was told that around the end of July is when the Appropriation Committee recesses for their summer break, and most likely they will have made their choices by then. So we should know something, whether we're on the short list or in fact that it's been awarded, one or the other. So I'll keep you in tune. Council, you have any questions on any of these items that we presented? Very good. Let's move to the consent agenda, item 8. Approval of May 6, 2024 regular city council meeting minutes and approval of the May 14, 2024 special city council meeting minutes.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion is made to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 9 is public hearings, ordinances, resolutions, and action items. Item 9A, discuss, consider, and act regarding the selection of Mayor Pro Tem for a one-year term. Council?
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Councilmember Carrie Ricketts for Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion is made to, your motion is to nominate Carrie Ricketts for Mayor Pro Tem.
Correct.
Motion is made to, for Carrie Ricketts to be Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll say.
There is a second. Any? All right then. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
It's 2-4. All opposed?
Aye.
All right. That motion failed. Need a motion?
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Councilman Tanya Morrow for the position of Mayor Pro Tem for a term of 1 year.
Motion is made to nominate Mayor Tanya Morrow for Mayor Pro Tem, term 1 year. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. I want to make a comment to that. I've been 3 years trying to work with Councilmember Morrow and have requested multiple times to please call me. This is an important position. Will you call me regularly? Now, what I ask is that we meet every Friday at lunch so I can spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with the Mayor Pro Tem. Will you do that?
So I am a full-time teacher and coach, so every Friday will be difficult. Summertime, I'm mostly available. I've also requested, Mayor Halsey, that I'm a lot easier to get a hold of via email, but I'll have my phone with me, and we've talked on the phone numerous times.
When can we meet regularly?
I'll get back with you on that. We can maybe talk after the meeting about setting up a schedule, if this passes.
Very good. But that is the need, the Mayor Pro Tem. There is no prescribed powers for a Mayor Pro Tem under the state statute, other than the mayor gets hit by a truck or some, or is not present to run a meeting. But it is an important position, and that I utilize the Mayor Pro Tem to talk about issues of the city and also keep them abreast of major issues. I just wanted to ask, because it is a working relationship. Are you prepared?
I'm sorry.
Are you prepared to do so?
Sure, if this passes, I would love to sit down and talk to you about a schedule when I'm available.
All right. All right, motion is made and seconded. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's 3-4. Motion passes. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow. Item 9B, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the Mid-City Women's Clinic site and landscape plan. Item number 1, Mr. Schwanke.
Yes, Mayor and members of the council. This is a 0.73 acre site with a proposed 7,000 square foot building for the Mid-Cities Women's Clinic. And I want you to go to the first slide of the text. And this is not straight zoning, it's a part of a planned development. And yeah. They're at the top of the page. you see the ordinance number, and it was then 024/2010. It was done 14 years ago. Go down to the next page. There you go. And that's when it was passed. See down, but those are the people who were in charge at that time, and they passed this ordinance at city council level. And go on down to the last one. And this is, shows there that one of the uses that were allowed, that were spelled out in the ordinance, was for, health services, facilities, and clinics, which this is what it is. Just so everybody knows that this is a use that's been permitted by. Having said that, this has gone through the preliminary plat phase. They've got a final plat that's also on this agenda, and also there is a community facilities agreement right after. So they've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's on everything they need to do on this side. Do you have any questions?
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yeah, I can make one more comment. Whatever happens on the inside of the building, it'll be designed and we'll have to go through building inspections. And
So
be
this is
approved.
purely for the site plan and the landscape plan.
That is correct.
Can we look at the site plan one more time and then the landscape plan? This is the site plan. Then the landscape plan, please.
This landscape plan is a little bit unique because there's a big drainage feature that's in the front that fronts on 156, which will collect the runoff from.
I got a quick question. Is there a reason you brought up that this is a clinical facility when there's other, I think there's the dentist office there, and something else in regards to a medical facility?
That is correct. There's lots of different uses, but I just wanted to show you where the uses were established. And it's not through straight zoning. A lot of cases you'll see they'll be in a GC category, which is general commercial, and there's a listing on those, everything. But this was specifically spelled out in what they can and cannot do. On the whole Laterra Village commercial site, starting with the 7-Eleven on the north going.
All right, very good. Any questions for Mr. Schwenke?
Yeah, just reading through this on the landscape plan, looking at the comments, what's required and what's provided, it looks like it balances out. It may not be. There's a couple that says, couldn't fit exactly where it's supposed to be, but they've got alternative locations. So it looks like they're meeting all the required aspects, to say one way or the other with it.
That is correct. It's a little bit difficult to line the street with trees when you got a drainage feature in there, so it's been accommodated elsewhere.
Okay. And the parking places are adequate to our ordinance with?
Yes.
Okay.
They meet the order.
All right. Thank you.
Just one last question. I see the handicap parking spots are a little further away than some other open spots there. Is there a reason for that? Shouldn't they be as close as possible to the door?
Well, they have to be within, close proximity. You not necessarily have to put them right in front of the door, but fairly close.
Okay.
All right, very good.
As being new to the council, what is
Excuse
the
me. Address the,
okay. With you bringing this site plan before the council, what is the exact purpose with me being new to the council? What is the reason for you need the council approval for a landscaping plan?
It's part of the zoning ordinance that, and there's a portion that addresses the site plans, landscape plans, and a lot of other items that you have to bring to the council in a public hearing format at this time.
So you're looking for a variance to those codes,
No,
or?
no. It meets the ordinance. And so it's really to keep the council informed. The bigger cities, they don't have time to mess with this, and a lot of times they'll do it administratively, where if it meets the ordinance and everything. But in a smaller city councils like to know what's going on in the city. So if there's a tract that's being developed, and because you'll get lots of questions, what's going on here when they start putting up stakes, flaggings, and it's really to keep you in the loop and to know what's going on. But the way our ordinance is currently formulated, when somebody is going to do a project, they preliminary plat it, and then they site plan it, and final plat it. Those are terms that we can help you with down the road if you need to know. But it's something where it really keeps the council informed, and there's some legalities that go along with everything. You start with the zoning, and then you go with the preliminary platting, and then you go with site plan, and then you go with the final plat, and then you ultimately issue a building permit for that.
Right. No, I'm familiar with that process as far as how that goes. I was just more curious of why within the city's third-party engineering firm that we use, that they don't have landscape architecture that will oversee this and kind of it just seemed remedial for bringing before the council. Curious for that. So
Let me
you
answer
answered
that.
I appreciate that.
Is that the short answer? It is required by our ordinance. That's the short. It is a requirement, both the site plan and the landscape have both P&Z approval and the council.
That's good.
Mayor Halsey? I would like to make a motion.
Excuse me, I've got to open up a public hearing. At this time, at 7:35 p.m., open up the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone that would like to in the chambers that would like to speak to this item? Is there anyone online who would like to speak to this item? There are none, so I close the public hearing. Item 3 is discuss, consider, and act on this item. Okay, council.
All right, Mayor Halsey, I would like to approve the Mid-Cities Women's Clinic site and landscape plan as presented.
Are you making a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the Mid-Cities Women's Clinic site and landscape plan as presented.
There is a motion made to approve the Mid-City Women's Clinic site and landscape plan. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. 9C, discuss, consider, and act regarding the community facilities agreement between the city of Haslet and Mid-Cities Pregnancy Care Incorporated for the Laterra Village, Lot 6, Block 1. Mr. Swanky.
I don't know if Mr. Anderson's online tonight or not, but he usually handles these, but let me just run through it.
But I can go through it because I was very involved in it as well.
Okay.
Do you have the facilities agreement? The facilities agreement goes through and very much defines developer responsibilities and the city's responsibilities, both addressing public items and amenities that are associated very specifically with this development, and those items which will transfer to the property owner. That's essentially what this community facility agreement is. These are always vetted by starting with city engineering. Planning has the opportunity to review it. The mayor always reads it from one end to the other, and the attorney reads it from one end to the other. And that has occurred in this case as well. Is there any questions with regard to the community facilities agreement? This is a standard agreement. It has been used multiple times, council, that you have seen and approved in the past. It's very much it is the same language. other than changing names of projects, unless there is something unique in a particular development, will something be changed. But this, there is nothing particularly unique in this project. Any questions?
Mayor Holsey, I do have a question, and again, it's just a concern of mine more than anything else. And again, this is the facilities agreement. I understand all the insurances and everything are in here as written. Is there anyone here can address the nature of the women's, can talk to us? I know that, I've heard that Pastor Crawford actually presented this P&Z, to the P&Z committee, and they've approved it and stuff like that. I guess I get concerned when you start talking insurance, and after the way this is a woman's clinic. I think I understand the nature of the business, but I also understand my wife's in the ultrasound business, and I see that protests happen all the time. Right now, the law is that there's no specific laws for, or not, there is laws against abortion and any type of abortion type things, but if the laws were to ever change, would there ever be protests here? Would there be something else that we would have to be considered for the city?
Is there I understand your comment, and let me ask, is there someone from the Mid-City Clinic, Women's Clinic, that would like to come up and address the council on that? I would like to reiterate, thank you for addressing the council, but I don't know if that will bear anything on the CFA in and of itself. But
do I need to push a button? I'm good. Okay.
I think you just asked a question that everybody's asking.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad. My name's Michelle Gregory. I'm the executive director of Mid-Cities Women's Clinic, and we are so honored to be here in Haslet. We have actually been in existence in Euless, Texas for 40 years. We were birthed in 1984 out of First Baptist Church Euless under Dr. Jimmy Draper, and started as a nonprofit religious organization that served women in unplanned pregnancies and provided resources for them, and then grew into our own nonprofit and became medical. We still hold our values and continue to affirm. We still serve women regardless. We try to just be very non-judgmental and caring and loving to women who are in very tough situations, and educate them, because we find that education is key in them understanding, also providing the services they need during a crisis pregnancy, to help them just stop and take a breath before they cross a state line to do something they may regret or may not regret. But we want them to be fully empowered before they make that decision, and also know what resources are available to them right here in their community. All of it stemmed from the mayor of Ponder coming to see me after a fundraising dinner, expressing the escalating high school pregnancy rate that was happening. And they didn't have a resource center around them, anyone that could serve them. And so when I started looking about what resources were available to them, we realized there was a need here in Haslet, that we've been serving our community for 40 years in Euless, but we wanted to be able to serve this area in the same way. So that's the reason for Mid-Cities Women's Clinic coming to Haslet. And we already have partners with your churches in the area. I know Cross Church is a big one. We're parking our van there and already serving with our services there, and have been very successful. And we look forward to, the need is great in Haslet. You'd be surprised how great the need is. And it does, some of our women do make tough decisions to go outside state lines, and some decide to stay here and be supported and receive the resources to parent or adopt or whatever they choose. But we are here to empower their health and educate them and give them quality medical services. All of our staff are licensed medical physicians, and then also a combination of that and those counselors that can come alongside them and just know, we're here for you, we're here to help you make the best choice, but we respect them regardless of their choice when they leave our clinic, and they know that they're loved and invited back. So we have had zero controversy in Euless. In fact, I had some pro-lifers that were out praying on our sidewalk, and I invited them in. So everybody's invited in, whether you're pro-choice or not. We just want you to see what we do, because we just want to love people where they are, empower them, because really medical education is, there's risk involved all the way across. And being able to really empower them to choose. Of course, our hope is that they choose life. That's our hope. But it's their decision. And so that's the nature of who we are.
I really appreciate that. Like I said, my wife's an ultrasound for 30 plus years, so I do understand. I guess my concern, like I said, is in the not too distant past here, when things were different here in the state, was there any ever issues that?
Yeah, thankfully we've not had that, and I think we do a great job of partnering with the community. We have our development director is here tonight, and she's already part of the chamber in this area, and actively getting involved. We're doing things with Northwest ISD, and it's just such a privilege. We consider ourselves a servant of the community, and do our best to represent with excellence, and just to love people and provide a valuable service. And that includes free diapers to anyone in our community. So it really helps. We have amazing donors that get behind what we do and want to provide a need for women. Yeah, thank you.
Council, do you have any questions? Very good, and thank you so much for that. All right.
Mayor Halsey.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Community Facilities Agreement, CFA, between the City of Haslet and Mid-Cities Pregnancy Care Incorporated for the Laterra Village, Lot 6, Block 1.
Motion is made to approve the Community Facilities Agreement between the City of Haslet and Mid-Cities Pregnancy Care, Inc. for the Laterra Village, Lot 6, Block 1. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? I'm sorry, I didn't see your. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. 9D, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the final plat of Lot 6, Laterra Village. Mr. Swanky.
Yeah, Mayor Halsey and members of the council, this is the final step in the process prior to the issuance of, building permits, once all the, improvements have been made to the site as far as water, sewer, drainage. And it's a legal document that sets out the parameters of the lot. And once everything's done, it'll be filed with the county, and it'll become the permanent record of the for the city for that piece of property. And they've gone through our engineering review, and we're recommending approval of this. The Planning and Zoning Commission also did.
Can you show the final plat, please?
You just need to go down a little bit further on this. There you go.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Morris? I mean, or Mr. Swanky, rather? All right. Let's go to part 2.
Mayor
Does
Halsey.
consider an act.
Mayor Halsey.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the final plat of Lot 6, Laterra Village.
Motion is made to approve the final plat of Lot 6, Laterra Village. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Item 9E, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of an amended site plan and landscape plan for 112 Harmon Road. Mr. Swanky.
Yeah, Mayor Halsey and members of the council, this is a site plan. You've seen the site plan before, except for one element that was not included, and that is a truck washing facility. When they first came in, they had considered that, but they said at the time that, well, we're not going to do that. But they changed their mind, and they have come back in to amend their site plan to show the facility where they're going to put the truck wash. And if you can go to the site plan, you can see, if you point it out, it's behind a easement, gas line easement that runs through the city. And so it's placed well back from the Harmon Road, and it'll virtually be out of sight.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Swanky?
I do have some questions, or one question. How's this going to impact traffic? I mean, we're not going to have trucks waiting in line to get washed like we see at a car wash. I'm assuming not, and that they have no space to do that.
Please make clarification. This is not a pay to wash the truck. This is only for their fleet.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, the trucks will be on site already, and so they will not be like backing up on Harmon Road.
Got it. Okay.
It'll be the trucks that are on the facility.
Understood. Thank
Yeah, my question, it may pertain more to Mr. Tucker, but with the car wash facility there, you know, and the wastewater that's generated, I mean, are we going to capture that in our in our sewer system? And, you know, is it capable of handling? I don't think car wash generate that much water volume. I know, you know, ones I'm familiar with, but it's not going to be run off into just streets or drainage.
Okay.
Mayor, the engineer for that site is in the audience today if you want to get some
Very
clarification on
good.
how that's handled.
Well, I noticed, okay, he filed, you know, would like to speak to this. Why don't you come and speak to us now? Please state your name and your address.
Yes, sir. My name is Nathan Rivera, 4925 Greenville Avenue, Dallas, Texas. Thanks for hosting us over here. And regarding your question about the wastewater and the way we are draining towards the sanitary system of the city, this truck wash has 3 reclaim pits where we drain the wastewater of this truck wash system that will reuse some of that water, bring it back, have a treatment skid, filtration system to reutilize most of the water, 95% of it. The rest of the water that actually goes to the sewer will connect to our lift station grinder pump that will then pump it back to the sewer line going to the city main sewer. The main point that we want to make here is that because we have this reclamation system, the amount of wastewater that we're adding to the current sewer line is slight to what you would typically have without a reclamation system in a truck wash. In addition to that, we have a sand oil separator or water oil separator that prevent any solids or any sort of waste or infectious substances going into the sanitary system.
Okay, yeah, that's my main concern, because anytime you have the, you know, the semi truck washing stations, you know, you get a lot of, you know, oils and additives, you know, gasoline byproducts that, you know, we don't want just washing down, you know, the sewer system. So if we've got a way to collect it, then that's good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just to follow on to that real quick, basically, and just, is there any type of audit that he does or anything to review that occasionally?
Very good. Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:53 p.m. Do we have anybody that would like to speak here in the chambers on this item? Yes. And do you have any other comments to make? Very good. All right, do we have anybody online who would like to speak to this item? All right, I will close the public hearing at 7:53 p.m. All right, item 3 is discuss, consider, and act. Council.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion to approve an amended site and landscape plan for 1112 Harmon Road.
Motion is
presented.
made to approve the amended site and landscape plan for 112 Harmon Road. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 9F, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of an ordinance amending the master land use plan. Mr. Swanky.
Yeah, over the course of time, you know, as we look at the city, there are some things that we notice that need to be changed to help facilitate growth, and there are several items that have come up recently that we want to address. In the southern part of the city, we have 3 areas that have recently been taken out of our extraterritorial jurisdiction because of the new state law, and because of that, we want to take them out of our master land use plan. We also have a very large area on the northwest part of the city, which was originally shown as in industrial. After starting to look at all that industrial land, we thought, well, the city might be better served to have less semi-traffic going south on John Day Road and impacting the city there. So we decided that would be better served for the city to be shown as residential, while the northern tier is still retained as industrial type properties. And there are a couple more. Can you go to the next slide? There's a couple more things since we've been at the Planning and Zoning Commission. We found a couple, I'll call them errors, that were sort of promulgated through the course of time. Yes, if you could. And so we're going to ask you that you look at those too. Down at the behind the fire station where the park is, there's less land that's being shown as public facilities, and there's a chunk that'll be shown as park because that's what it's being currently used for. And then there was also another one where it's a elite daycare is. We found that Mr. Rogers found after extensive research that was originally zoned as neighborhood commercial, and there was never a zoning change that changed that to public/institutional. So we want to go ahead and show that as commercial also. Having said that, this is the update to the map, and the Planning and Zoning Commission has looked at it, except for those 2 small errors that I noted, and they recommended approval of it.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to open up the public hearing on this master land use plan. And again, the P&Z saw the previous map. Do you have that available? Can you switch to it easily? All right, this is the map that P&Z saw and approved. And after that approval, it was reviewed, and there were some of these corrections did not make it on it. And again, if you would zoom up on the, I'll say, Elite Learning Center area. No, of that map, yes, right there. Okay, it is shown as public institutional. It is in fact the neighborhood commercial. It's commercial, and the city has no desire to change it to public institutional, nor does the property owner. Property owner never made requests to change that zoning. So this is akin to a Scrivener's error. Just an error was made, and it's been confirmed. It's still zoned as neighborhood commercial. We would like to keep it as such on here. Another area, if you would zoom out, is at the bottom of the page. Zoom up right there at the bottom of the page in that retail or the R1 area. Yes, right there. Zoom up. Okay, you see this is in a neighborhood off Country Lane, I believe that is. Yes. And that is shown to be public institutional. That was not a conscious decision. That was just by error again, is that the master land use plan would reflect that as residential. That is a change we would like to make, council would like to make, or at least the mayor and administration would like to make. Another area is the park on Blue Mound Road. If you will zoom up on the fire station ball field. Okay, just you see the that is shown as community facilities. It is in fact 18 acres of it. I believe it's 18 acres, maybe 16. Was was dedicated as parkland. This is not shown as that. Also, there is a section to the right. You see the blue area, and immediately to the right is a green area. Move your hand over right there. Back. There. That lot right there is in fact part of this property. And so what we would like to do is provide for a continuance of this public hearing at our next council meeting, which I believe, what is our next council meeting date? June the 3rd. Is they not close this public hearing, but have a continuance of this public hearing. And that gives staff time to incorporate all these changes, then bring it back and resume the public hearing at that time. And then council will take that vote.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
would that also have to go through P and Z for those changes?
No. We vetted that out with the attorney. Mr. Brown is in place of Mr. Page. Thank you.
You're not back to P and Z. I mean, once it leaves P and Z, the council has the authority to make tweaks and changes. Now, sometimes if we do a complete overhaul, our policy, sometimes council will send it back to P and Z. There's still a lot of legwork to be done. But when you're at this level where you're finding the discrete things the mayor's identified, there's no legal requirement to go back at this point. Since the council ultimately makes the decision, you're more than welcome and empowered to simply keep it at the council level and make these types of changes.
I have a question.
Yes.
If it's going to go back to the public hearing, are we not going to discuss and consider an act on this, or we still have to discuss and consider an act on
You would discuss, consider an act June 3rd after the public hearing would be closed at that time. So the public hearing will remain open from this point until June 3rd when we take this item up again with the corrected map.
Right. That means that if you open the public hearing tonight, you can continue it. You don't close it, you continue it to another date, because you don't have to re-notice it, because what the law assumes that anybody who is interested in the thing would either be here tonight to hear the new date or watching it remotely. So typical practice is open the public hearing. Anybody that wants to talk about it today, they can. If not, then either way, we simply not close it, but have to make a motion to continue the public hearing until June the 3rd. At that time, revised map could be brought back public. At that time, complete the public hearing and vote.
So my question is, we have no action for tonight. We're not going to make a motion.
There would be an action that I would request, is that a motion be made for a continuance of this public hearing for June 3rd. That would be the motion I asked for.
So Mayor Halsey, one other question, just following up on that then too. Any emails or letters or phone calls, any between now, since the public hearing's open from this meeting to the next meeting, would also need to be brought into the consult?
If it is items they want addressed or read to the council.
Okay.
Mayor, I just got one question on this, on the tract of land up on the north side there along John Day Road. We're changing from industrial to residential. Has the landowner been notified of the potential change? Or does the landowner need to be notified?
They do not need to be notified because that's agricultural. But as a matter of course, that is the primary reason, one of the primary reasons, is this is going to residential, is that if this were open to warehousing development, that means truck. And from Avondale Haslet Road up this road, John Day Road, which is a future road, it's not built yet, they would have legal access to that. Avondale Haslet Road is not slated to be a truck route.
Yeah, I'm not worried about, what vehicles are.
But we have
gonna
followed
do this.
all appropriate procedures to,
That's,
yes.
I just didn't know if the landowner needed to be notified if there's a change in the zoning on it.
And remember, the land use plan is not zoned.
Right.
Whatever the zoning is, zoning is. I mean, there are notices that be required to change somebody's zoning, but there's just general public notice is required for land use plan. All this is, the land use plan tells what the city's contemplation of what the best use of that. But to the extent that there may be already zoning in place that conflicts with the land use plan, the zoning stays. I mean, the land use plan doesn't trump the zone. But typically, if you have undeveloped land or whatever, they come in for a zoning change, the land use plan informs that person that this is what the city's thinking is and what would be an appropriate for that property when you come in to change your zone.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
All right. So does council, and probably Mr. Watkins doesn't know this, a master land use plan designates property and what the city goes. This is property how we would like it to be zoned at, which is different from a zoning map. The zoning map is the current legal zoning that every piece of property carries at this time. Where does the master land use plan come into play? When a client asks I want to rezone this property, and most often it happens in agricultural land and so we would like to zone, say, something that we have designated as commercial. We would like to develop all of that with industrial warehousing. Well, planning and zoning will look at that and go, well, we do not intend to have industrial warehousing in that area. So it's a guide map that both the PNC and the council have looked at and approved. That's what's going forward. This does not change zoning. This particular map does not.
Mayor, I'd also like to say that right now, all that property north of Avondale Haslet is zoned as agricultural.
Yeah. So that's another aspect. I was ventured to go there, but this is agricultural, and this would be the recommended best use of that. It alleviates any right for any trucking firm to have access to that road.
I had one question. Just because the yellows are kind of hard to see, is it the medium density yellow or the low density yellow?
Medium density. The half-acre lot, or the 20,000 square foot.
So we're still in the public hearing. I would like to, I would again ask for a motion to have a continuance of this public hearing until June 3rd.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion for continuance of this public hearing until the June 3rd city council meeting.
Motion is made to have a continuance of this public hearing until June 3rd of the city council meeting. Is there a
I'll second.
second?
Yes, sir.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Nine G, discuss, consider, and act regarding the 2022-2023 audit of the City of Haslet financial statements. Marcy Lamb is our finance director and doubling as our city secretary tonight. Ms. Lamb.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have been working on the audit. If you'll notice, we're looking at the 22-23 audit, and we're in 2024, so that's somewhat confusing. So this is our most recent fiscal year, which was ended on September 30th, 2023. We take a couple of months to close, and then our auditors start performing their work. And tonight we have online to present to you the results of the audit. We utilize the audit firm of Vale and Park, and Susan LaFollette, who is principal with the firm, is going to make a presentation, and you can direct questions to her and then questions to me as needed. And so we'll let her get started.
Okay, can everybody see the screen and hear me?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Hold on one second. Here we go. Okay, can you still see the screen? All right.
Yes.
As Marcy said. Okay. As Marcy said, I'm Susan LaFollette. I'm a principal at Vale and Park, and we will be going over the results of the 23 financial report. Tonight's agenda will be to go over the objectives and scope of our audit, look at our financial report, a high-level overview of the audit results, a few financial highlights. We issued a required governance communication letter and a management recommendation letter. We'll be going over both of those and have closing remarks. The objective of our audit was to conduct an audit in accordance with government auditing standards. And we plan to perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. It is a full scope audit, which included your governmental activities, business type activities, component units, which is your 4A and your 4B, and each major fund. So you should all have a bound financial report, and the table of contents to that includes our independent auditor's report, management discussion and analysis, government-wide financial statements, the fund financial statements, your fiduciary fund financial statements, the required notes to your financial statements, other required supplementary information, as well as other supplementary information, and the compliance section. First, let's go over the results of the audit. We issued 2 reports. And our first report is the independent auditor's report, which is on page 1 through 3. It was a clean opinion, unmodified audit opinion with all standard language. And the second report we issued was the independent auditor's report on internal controls and on compliance. And there were no material weakness or deficiencies identified. Now let's go over some financial highlights. We'll start with the government-wide financial statements, which are prepared on the full accrual basis. We like to focus on the net position of the city. That's basically the equity if you're in business. So the net position of the city at the end of the fiscal year 23 was $73,831,037. That overall net position did increase by 6.7 million or 10%. 1 million of the increase is due to property tax revenue increases, and approximately 1.1 million is due to increased charges for water services and sewer. The unrestricted net position of the city is 23,738,263 at the end of the year, and that is up by 891,579, 4%. Now let's move to the general fund. That's prepared on the modified accrual basis. And we like to look at the equity of that fund, and then furthermore, the unassigned fund balances, which are the funds that can be used to meet the city's ongoing obligations. At the end of the year, it was 10.9 million over last year's 10.4 million. So it did increase 459,691. And this does represent a healthy 23-month reserve. So that's a good shape. Then let's also look at the general fund revenues, excluding your other financing sources. At the end of the year, the revenues were 8.8 million versus last year's 12.4. You did experience a decrease of 3.55 million, and most of that is due to intergovernmental revenues that you had for the Type B fund last year that you did not have this year. The general fund did experience an increase in fund balances of $472,842. The water fund is the next area we'll look at. Again, we'll look at the equity or unrestricted net position. At the end of the year, the water fund had $11.1 million in unrestricted net position versus $9 million last year. That is a 26-month reserve, and that can be used to meet the fund's ongoing obligations. Total net position of that fund also increased 2.3 million or 10%, and approximately 1.1 million is due to the increase in charges for services. The next thing we'll discuss is one of our letters that is not bound. The first one is called the Required Government's Communication Letter. Everything in that letter is standard language, and I would suggest you just read through it so you know what we're talking about. But two things I wanted to point out is attachment 1 is the list of our 12 adjustments that we had for the audit, and attachment 2 is 4 adjustments that we tracked, but we called them immaterial and did not book them. Also, we had a management recommendation letter. We only had 3 suggestions, and the main one was internal controls over the closing process related to debt. We just recommend that the city refine that process to make sure that those new debt issuances that you'll likely have coming in the future are booked correctly. Also, the net position, we just recommend the city implement a review process for manual journal entries and make sure that any adjustments to net position are appropriate and approved. Also, the fund structure of the city, you do have a lot of funds, and it's possible that you could consolidate those funds to less funds and use departments within those funds, which might help the bookkeeping and simplify the process. I definitely like to thank Marcy Lamb. She was very helpful for our process, and we really appreciate her help. So if there are any questions or comments, I'd like to cover those now.
I would like to make one comment just for the council on the, particularly on the water fund. It was noted a couple times in there that we had a pretty large increase in charges for services for the water and sewer That was not a rate increase. That's just due to the growth in the system with all the new accounts we have. And it's not due to any kind of rate increase because we're still undergoing that study. Charges for services is a term like interest income in governmental accounting, so I just wanted to make that clear. I think sometimes that's kind of confusing.
Council, you have any questions from Ms. La Follette?
Yeah, you mentioned that you suggested we consolidate some funds. Do you have a suggestion of which funds should be consolidated?
Well, they're not particularly. There are a lot of funds for your special revenue, and there are a lot of funds for your 4A and 4B. The debt is separated from the regular fund. There's just a lot of funds, and some of those could be consolidated. I would just recommend you look through that and determine which ones are or are not needed. It will reduce the amount of transfers you have to do between funds and that kind of thing.
And I can comment on that. Since we're budget driven, everything we do, we're budgeting for it at budget time. There are a lot of things that in the past our chart of accounts has been used to track those items. They get consolidated at the end of the year into the fund they're supposed to be in. And that's the work that the auditors are doing. They're taking 4A and 4B and their associated debt accounts and their associated asset accounts and combining them all. And that's just the way a lot of it was set up when I arrived, and the previous audit firm had us tracking certain things. So we've kind of looked at those, and I think those of you that have been through the budget process, you're familiar with how we break out the capital and put it in the different funds, one for water, one for sewer. Also our regular debt, we have a general fund debt group, and then we also have one for the water. So I think we can work with the auditors and figure out the best way to consolidate those and still give you all the information you need when you're looking at the budget.
Yeah, I was just going to say that might be, between now and the future, the budget meetings we'll have here, in a couple months. Maybe that's something that could come into those budget workshops and educate us on those.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions?
I just got on the management recommendation letter on the net position. Just with it says city implement a review process for the manual journal entries. I mean, were there a number of these that we were just misrepresenting on the journal entries, or is it just minor issues with how they're labeled?
One of the things, go ahead.
You go ahead. I was just going to say that there were some transactions that were made, and the thing is no one is really approving the manual journal entries. It's not particularly that there's anything going wrong. It's just best practice is to have, if you make journal entries, to have someone approve those. And I think that will come into play when the additional staff that Marcy has is in office and is working. They can do the manual journal entries, and then Marcy could approve them, and that's just best practice.
Yes, as you know, we have a pretty small shop, and so sometimes we get in a hurry and we get everything going, and I'm making the entry and there's nobody else to look over my shoulder. So that's the recommendation. We'll just put some better review processes in place.
And this has been a common audit comment year over year, and we've always only had one staff person, and that was the finance director. Now we have a staff accountant that works under Marcy that actually can make those entries, and Marcy can check.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just kind of sensitive to that. We've gone through audit issues at our work, so I want to make sure we're trying our best to understand the staffing. So as long as we're trying our best to make it covered, that's good. Thank you.
Very good. Other questions, council?
I would just like to make one other comment. We certainly do appreciate Susan and her staff and all their hard work, and helping us get through things. And since the pandemic, we've been doing things remotely, and that seems to work really well. I think that keeps our costs down a little bit to not have them travel. And we just really like working with their staff. We never are in any kind of adversarial situation. We're all trying to figure out the best way to do things, and we really appreciate all their input.
Well, I'll tell you, as the budget officer, I appreciate both of you. Thank you, Marcy. You do an excellent job. Thank you, Susan. You folks do an excellent job as well as giving us areas of improvement. We're always looking for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, from your aspect, your job, unless you have any more questions or discussion, is I'll need a motion to accept this financial audit.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the 2022-2023 audit of the City of Haslet financial statement.
Motion is made to approve the 2022-2023 audit of the City of Haslet financial statement. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 9H, discuss, consider, and act on a proposal by Bell and Park PC to perform the audit for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2024. Marcy.
Yes, as we mentioned before, the firm of Vale and Park, they've been doing our audit, and they have presented to us an option to renew our engagement for the next 3 years audit, with 2024 being the first one. They have proposed the fees of $33,950 for 2024, $37,450 for 2025, and $49,950 for 2026. These are the fees that would be charged if the city is not required to do a single audit of grant funds. And a single audit of grant funds is triggered when we receive, or actually when we spend, $750,000 of federal funds. We don't have anything currently that would rise to that occasion for next year. The main grant that we have outstanding is we still have the CLRF, or the ARPA funds, as we've called them during budget. And the amount that we have left to spend for that is a little over $400,000. So it wouldn't rise to that occasion. So unless we receive some other major grant that we don't currently have in the pipeline, we shouldn't have those additional fees.
Quick question on that, just to go back to our appropriations. Appropriations is separate than the grants, so.
It is not a grant.
Yes,
That's correct.
not a grant.
Yes. So we don't envision that happening. The amount we have budgeted for the current, for the 2023 audit that we just completed was $31,600, just for reference to see. And due to the relationship we have with them, and us being kind of a small staff, and the possibility of bond issues coming up, and those types of things, we're asking for you to renew their engagement.
Very good. Council.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal by Vale and Park PC to perform the audit for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024.
Motion is made to approve the proposal by Vale and Park PC to perform the audit for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2024. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Item 10, executive session. The city council reserves the right to adjourn into executive session during the course of the meeting to seek legal advice from its attorney regarding any item on the posted agenda as authorized by Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. At this time, council, I'd like to adjourn the open meeting and meet you in the boardroom in 10 minutes, where we will resume with the executive session. Thank you. Time is 8:29. 8:29. Thank you. Time is 8:55 p.m. All members of the council are present. We will resume the open session meeting. Item 10, executive, there are no action items to take out of the executive session. 11, future agenda items. We have on there the TRA Fort Worth sewer line interlocal agreement. We anticipate that will be on the May or June 3rd city council meeting. We anticipate. Haslet Parkway and city properties mowing contract. Again, we anticipate that the second meeting in June. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office interlocal agreement revision. I would expect that sometime in August, knowing the channels that it goes through in Tarrant County. Does council have any items to put on the future agenda? If not, then I go to item 12, adjourn. May I have a motion?
Mayor Halsey, I move to adjourn.
Motion is made to adjourn. Is there a second?
Mayor, I second.
There is a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Very good. Well, I hope you enjoyed your first council meeting.
Educational starting off.
Very good. If you have any questions, give me a call, all right? I'll